Let me take this opportunity first and foremost to thank the police department for taking the initiative. And this is something that I really wanted to talk about, as many of the roads are being resurfaced and the inner roads are being patched. We are talking about the road going up Naked Boy Hill, where we see it had been in terrible shape, and it's still in terrible shape, but the police had taken the initiative to haul in the contractors that supply cement. And I understand the reason for that, because that road seems to be the constant depository of cement when trucks are going up that hill, and with no sort of concern to the residents, it is just left there on the side. I know that it's being taken up, it's being cleaned up, because it is a nuisance, and it's irresponsible for the contractors to feel that they can simply drop waste, whether it's accidental, because I understand going up the hill and when it jocks, the cement in the back falls out. But the companies and them also have a responsibility to see to it that when this happens, you clean it up, because what you do is put other pedestrians, other drivers in danger, and also you damage the vehicle. So again, I'm saying congratulations to the police department for taking that initiative by calling in the contractors to deal with that situation and see to it that it doesn't happen again. And I also want to say, to my colleagues, that I appreciate the relationship that we have. Many of you all wouldn't know or wouldn't hear what goes on in the Council of Ministers. And as much as we may not agree on everything, but at the end, we come to one common goal and understanding that we need to fix and deal with the issues that's affecting St. Martin. And I can speak personally on a relationship with the Minister of Health, because we put our heads together, and I would say, Minister Lee, this is a situation that needs to be taken care of. And he would say, well, why don't you look at it this way? For example, the old Soccer Garden Hotel, if you all know where it is, there is two huge big pools, huge, with water, green, mucky, mosquito-infested water. And it's a situation that needs to be dealt with now. And I was speaking to the Minister of Health, and I said we should bore some holes in the wall and the water can run out. And he said, well, there's another way to look at it. You can put something in the water that can kill off the larvae of the mosquitoes, so we wouldn't have, but it's a serious situation. What you're looking there is a dengue and a Zika infestation waiting to happen if that is not taken care of. But why I make mention of my colleagues, I wouldn't have known what to do if I didn't had a conversation with the Minister of Health. So in that respect, I always say thank you for that. And also, I know the Minister of Education concerning the repairs of school. It will be a knock on the door and say, Minister, we need to talk about this. And it's always, well, why don't you look at it this way and look at it that way? So that's why, again, I'm saying to all the individuals out there that use our public roads, because it is not an easy task for government to take the initiative to resurface roads, to paint roads, and then they're taken for granted. And if you look out there now, you'll see that the guys are out there and they're doing a marvelous job. I want to thank the department head for that, for what they are doing, because they really seem to be putting some gust or some gust into it, or doing it with pride. I haven't seen sort of a new face on the public roads as what I'm seeing right now in Phillipsburg. And then, with that being said, I've been receiving a number of calls from residents alike complaining about sewage water, septic water, and it is a serious situation that we have in our society. I'm going to tell you the reasons why we haven't been able to reach out to you as yet. And it's simple. The inspection department, we are in need of vehicles, and that's the problem. That's the problem that we are having right now. And for me, it's always looking at a new approach, a different approach, how assistance can be given. And I'm saying to most of the affluent businesses in the community, You know, as much as government has a responsibility, you also have a responsibility. I would be coming to you and asking for the donation because I need to fix these problems. These problems need to be fixed. And there are problems in your neighborhood. You are using the roads. You are living in those areas. The water is running by your homes. So as much I would have a relationship with different business people in the society, it's time for you to contribute also to this society. So I'm reaching out to you as the minister and saying, lend us a hand, help us, donate what you can, because you know, it's a situation that we are living in that we cannot continue. The longer we leave it, the worse it's going to come. And if we don't tackle it and nip it in the butt right now, it's not going to get solved. People feel that it's okay to simply just run their sewage in the road. Where does it end up? One place, the ponds. That's where it ends up. And eventually, into the beaches. You are carrying your children there to swim. Your family is there to swim. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and we are going to take a serious look at this problem. The serious look we are going to take concerning this. And also, I spoke about this before. In the cul-de-sac area, in the Reward area, St. Peter's area, there are a number of back roads that in the morning rush hour, going to school, people would take these back roads to get onto the main road. And what do we have? Old vehicles, expired number plates, up on blocks, up on one wheel. Remove them, or we are coming to remove them at your expense. Remove them, or we will remove them at your expense. Because again, stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about the community that you're in. These sort of things simply can't be the way they are anymore, no longer. We are doing a project right now in South Reward. The Ministry of Rummy have taken the initiative in Arrow Drive to fix the running water that have been there for years. From time I was a little boy, from before the road was paved, the vocational school was built on a spring and it was covered up, and the water have been running there for the past 20, 25, 30 years down in front of Miss Mac. It has been out on tender. The work has started. So again, I'm saying to the community, and they bear with us. It's going to take some time, about, I think, approximately 6 to 8 weeks it's going to take to complete that project. That is ongoing. I've also received a number of calls concerning Corralita Road. The bump is too high, the bump is too short, the road is not smooth enough. And it's a case of whether you do or if you don't do. For me, it's best you just do. And I've mentioned it before. The police department regulates those sort of things. And if that's the way they say the bump should be, then that's the way it should be. It's not for me to determine whether it's too high, too short, too low, too wide, or not good enough. It will be painted. They are working, they are moving. But again, accessibility in terms of vehicles, accessibility in terms of working at night. There are certain things that is needed that we are working on. But again, and you know, I said this last night, and we all probably wouldn't like it when we hear the Minister of Finance talk about tightening our belt and squeezing. But we are taking strides and we are moving forward. We are making strides and we are moving forward, and these things will come. It's just a matter of time. Our debt is being cleared up, and when this is done, the budget will be open and we'll be able to do more work. But work is going on and things are happening. So bear with us, give us some time. St. Peter's Road, the sidewalks, there are still some work that needs to be done, and it's going to be done. I spoke to the contractor and he's working on it. But I also want to say this to our government-owned companies such as UTS, such as Telem, such as GEBE. When you get a waiver to dig up the sidewalks or the roads, to put in your cables, please repair it back properly. Please repair it back properly. It can't be that you get the waiver and the sidewalk is done properly, the bricks are done properly. You dug it up, remove the sand, you take 2-3 weeks to make the repairs. And when the repairs are done, it's not done properly. changes are coming in that aspect also. And those things happen because you get it for free. And when you start to pay for it, then you're going to understand the need and the work that the pedestrians and the people in the area are talking about when you damage these sort of things. So again, I want to thank everyone. Take care of yourself. God bless. Bye. Thank you.
I'd like to update the general public on some issues within public education that are being dealt with, particularly the Leonard Connor School. We've been talking about that for quite a while. I believe last week we mentioned that we did secure the funding and had the meeting with the contractors, etc. The funds have been transferred to the contractor, the initial startup funds, and the critical upgrades at Leonard Connor School are slated to start as of yesterday. As stated before, it was slated for 4 weeks, so we expect that by March 7th, it will be completed. Monday, kickoff meetings were held between representatives of the Ministry of ROMI, the Department of New Projects, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, represented by Division Public Ed, the contractor HEMCO, as well as the contractor CECC, which had conducted the critical upgrade study, who has been charged with the supervision of this project. So we expect that with all hands on deck and the finances being in place, that we can expect this to be resolved sooner rather than later. And I thank all for their patience over the past months in dealing with this. The Prince William Alexander School has been stipulated in a press release from the Ministry of ROMI that the removal of the asbestos has started this week and is slated to be ended by the end of this week, done by asbestos specialist Beve from Curacao. The works are in full progress, going well, and are slated to be completed at the end of the week on Friday. By next week, then, the contractor that won the bid will then start with the demolition and move forward to phase 1 of the building, which is projected to be 8 classrooms and expected to be completed within 6 months. With regards to sports, the St. Martin Sports and Olympic Federation, SMSOF, was able to secure membership to the Central American and Caribbean Sports Organization, CACSO, through the collaborative efforts of the SMSOF, the NSI, and the Sports Department. We registered 11 Olympic sports to be able to participate in Caribbean and Central American and Caribbean, as well as Pan American Games. The doors have also been opened for the official participation in these games. This may also lead, I said may, to the qualification to the Olympic Games 2020 for St. Martin for the very first time. So these are very important first steps that have been taken. The 11 Olympic sports are athletics, aquatics, boxing, canoeing, cycling, judo, volleyball, sailing, table tennis, taekwondo, and triathlon. Basketball and baseball and gymnastics are in the process, so they have not yet been qualified. However, we have qualified 11 sports, and I think for this, we would like to extend as government a great congratulations to the St. Martin Sports and Olympic Federation on this achievement, as we as a ministry are looking forward to continued efforts of collaboration to ensure that the development of our athletes and sports for all. This is an amazing step in the right direction, and I congratulate all who have made it possible. In recent discussions also, I think you've seen that press release, several organizations, a lot of people, we sit in our behind our computers. It's very easy to chat, to comment on what is or isn't happening on the island. However, I took the time out to open the elementary school football tournament. Last year, towards the end of the year, the secondary school tournament was ended. The St. Martin Volleyball Association is also carrying out their school tournament, and it's a very small group of volunteers that makes this happen. Instead of sitting in our seats and talking, I would like to encourage the general public to put your hand in, get your hands a little bit dirty in helping our youth, because it is constantly the same people day in, day out. And when they are burnt out, if they quit or they drop out, then our youth are left hanging. So in order not to have that, I would like to encourage all of you who have an extra hour or two per week to find an organization that caters to the youth, whether it's in education, whether it's in sports, whether it's in arts, or any other youth-related event. We have the Youth Brigade. We have several organizations that are on the books doing a lot for our students. We can sit back and ask, why is crime elevating? Why are our youth this or why are our youth that? But it will require not just government and not just the organizations. It will require the village. And the village is you, the village is me. So I'm encouraging all of you to find somewhere to give your time to our youth. Talk is cheap. In a series of other workshops that are available via the ministry, the Student Support Services Division, another service arm of the ministry, is executing 5 preparatory workshops for all students who are seeking study financing to further their studies in the Netherlands. I think many who have gone through the process have had 1-day and 2-day workshops in the past, but these interactive and themed workshops, which started on February 7th, just yesterday, and will run until June, are designed to address many of the issues that our students face while pursuing their studies in the Netherlands and to equip them to be successful. The workshops will be held February 7th, March 7th, April 11th, May 23rd, and June 7th. Of course, this will be broadcast via social media and to the recipients or the applicants of study financing. It will be held at the University of St. Martin. And the sessions will cover topics such as assessing and adjusting expectations, familiarization with the new environment and what to expect, increasing motivation, Dutch language skills, dealing with feelings of sadness or missing home/weather, etc. And again, all of these sessions can only be effective if you attend. And many of our students attend because they have to, as they have to show based on their application for study financing. But even if you don't receive financing, there are many others who move as free movers to the Netherlands. I believe it would behoove you to try and take part in these sessions because the situation is definitely not the same as here or even going to, within the region. So I encourage all to take part in these sessions, not just take part, but participate actively so that you can get the most from it. The Department of Education would also like to make known that to the general public that I have signed off on the validation of courses at NIPA. The programs, Boat Master Level 2, Cook Level 2, Social Pedagogic Work Level 2 and 3, Licensed Practical Nurse Level 3, Registered Nurse Level 4, Educational Assistant Level 4, and Small Engine Repair Level 1 are now being offered at the National Institute for Professional Advancement, known as NIPA, and they have been validated by this ministry. A committee had to go through a rigorous process, doing checks and balances to make sure that these courses met the requirements. As a result, I have recognized the above-mentioned programs, and by granting NIPA the recognition, students who successfully complete these programs will receive a diploma or certificate recognized by me as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport. There is a need for the social and vocational skills that are being provided by this institution as well as others, and these programs ensure that students leave with the necessary skills and knowledge to succeed and are tailored to the interests and demands of our current labor market. Further to dovetail onto what Minister Emmanuel mentioned in terms of collaboration with ministries, I am pleased to say that in recent meetings held in Council of Ministers and out, that the Ministries of Justice, VSA, Education, Culture, Youth and Sports have been collaborating, not even at a ministerial level, but at the department and division level for several years, and culminating in the integrated youth policy the Integrated Youth Policy, which they are now working out action plans. Many, again, as I said earlier, are crying out about our youth. A lot has to be put in place in order to regularize and validate what is being done. What we are now looking to do is not just have a committee working out what should be done, but that we will collaborate from the minister level also to prioritize budgets going towards these much needed programs. So this I have received from my colleague ministers. We are all ready, even the ones that I haven't mentioned, to put the money where our mouths are, because we see that in preventing, it is much better than cure. Of course, for the ills that exist, we do need the rehabilitation programs, so of course they will not be dropped, but we will be focusing heavily in the coming months and years on preventative programs across ministries geared towards our youth. And many, when they hear youth, it's mentioned in the ministry which I head, but a lot of youth issues touch on social affairs, health, as well as labor and justice, of course. So a lot of collaboration is needed, and Minister Emmanuel mentioned how much I harass him about my schools and the buildings, and Mr. Kurt Ruan knows me well, and I have him on speed dial as well. And this will continue to happen because without the proper facilities as well as the resources in place, we are not able to do as much as we would like. But again, in the meantime, while we're struggling, I ask that you as volunteers come out, support the organizations, support the schools. The SXM Doot is coming up in March. I'm looking forward for us to break all records, doubling or more the number of volunteers that we had for those 2 days, and then continue to wow the world by the way we volunteer all year round. Thank you.
Family law, criminal law, labor law, corporate law, immigration law, electoral law, tax law, environmental law, inheritance law. The law matters to you. A joint venture between the Department of Communication and the University of St. Martin. The lecture series, The Law Matters to You, is aimed at informing and providing the general public of St. Martin about the different laws. We invite you to visit the official government website at www.stmartingov.org for details on upcoming lectures. The law matters to you, bringing the law closer to the people.
I'd like to report on CHTA Marketplace. As many of you know, last week I was in the Bahamas on behalf of the government of St. Martin, since the acting Minister of Tourism felt that my background and history would make me the right choice for attending the tourism conference. I think, to sort of echo the sentiments that my colleagues have mentioned, it really does show that we're working well as a team, that we are trying to work in the best interest of the country. So again, thank you for the opportunity to attend. I was joined by a representative from the Tourist Office, Ms. Marla Charmant, a member from the Cabinet, Mr. Julian Lake. It was also an opportunity to meet with the new North American marketing representative, Spring O'Brien. So it gave them an opportunity to interact with the players, as well as to understand what some of the historical projects that have been done with different tour operators are, and what our objectives are for the year going forward. I would say many of the meetings with the tour operators were extremely positive. There is a certain sense in the marketplace that St. Martin's been out of sight, out of mind, and that a need for a more sustained marketing approach is critical. My recommendation to the Council of Ministers and to the Tourism Department is to work towards a annual budget where they're putting their marketing money out early, not piecemeal. And the other thing is to recognize that the tourism industry, the tourism cycle may not work exactly the way that our annual budgets work, and that we need to take that into account, because it does seem that our budgeting process and our approval process isn't really in sync with the tourism industry, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed. But again, I'll be making a report to the Council of Ministers. In addition, I think we had a number of meetings together with the French side, I think trying to renew the cooperation. Right now, there's very limited cooperation, mostly centered around SMART, which is going to be June 14th to 16th of this year. But we had some discussions with different tour operators, again, about working together with cooperative marketing, trying to bring our limited marketing funds to work together. Fact is, tourists, tour operators see the island as one island, and by marketing it separately and without any coordination, it really does sort of confuse the marketplace and I think dilutes the limited marketing dollars that the country has available. Also had a productive discussion with Airbnb. This is a discussion that's going on throughout the Caribbean, this shared economy, so people that are renting accommodations directly. Of course, from a finance perspective, we'd like to see some revenues that are by law obligated to come into the country that are not coming in. Airbnb and different countries are in discussions about how they can facilitate the collection and turning over of those funds. But it's a discussion with finance in terms of transparency, in terms of data. And again, these conversations will be ongoing and will be turned over to the incoming Minister of Tourism to follow through on the discussions. Being somewhat of an opportunist, I used the opportunity as well to do some work for the Ministry of Health. There was a meeting with the Deputy Premier, Minister of Tourism, from Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands is the home of Health City. So I met with the minister, Mr. Moses Kirkconnell, and we are in discussions actually about bringing in a weekly flight from Cayman Islands. They have a discussion about a Saab 340, which is a 34-seat plane, but they would look at 24 passengers. And so we're looking at a weekly rotation as a test to see if there's sufficient business to bring our health customers to Cayman Islands to use their facility. Again, some discussions ongoing about, how do we fix our travel costs, and I've asked them to see if they would be willing to provide a fixed tariff for the airfare rather than a fluctuating tariff based on demand. So that's a very positive discussion, I believe, in terms of a cooperation between Health City, Cayman Islands, and St. Martin and SZV.